All right, welcome everybody. My name is Vikas. I lead the Next-Gen UI team here at Alimek. And today what I'm going to be talking about is a topic of leadership and what makes effective teams. And the title of the talk is Tribal Leadership and Building Thriving Teams and Organizations. And this talk is based on this book. The book is called Tribal Leadership. And the reason, the way I found out about this book was I was having dinner with this entrepreneur who had just raised a bunch of money, was pitching his startup to me and asking me to be part of it. And I know this guy, he's built tremendous organizations in the past. These are teams you want to be part of, and these are high-performing teams, and they had many exits in the past, successful exits. So, and he says, you know what, every team I've built, I've modeled it based on this book. Okay, so that convinced me. I went home that night and bought this book. And it is a tremendous book. So that's what inspired me to talk about this. And people who work closely with me have heard me talk about this many times in the past. And often talk about, how teams are like tribes and so on. So the key points is that all companies are made up of small groups. These groups are called tribes, and each tribe has a leader. Each tribe has a leader, and there are many levels of operation. Each tribe or group has its own energy level or a stage at which it operates. And there are 5 stages, and somehow everything fits perfectly into 5 stages. And the belief is that higher stage teams perform better, and stage 4 or stage 5 teams are something which we refer to as high performing teams, and that's where we want to get to, right? That's what we're trying to build our organizations around. And we're going to talk about what builds these stage 4 or 5 teams, and the difference, and the key difference is the language of the team dynamics is what makes a team high performing. So what is a tribe? A tribe is a group of 10 to 150 people. 150 is the max. Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point book says the moment you cross over 150 people, it splits into 2. The reason is, for something to qualify as a tribe, people need to know each other. So these are people you say hello to, as or you say more than hello. You have a conversation. You have their number in your phone. You exchange emails with them. That's a tribe, and each tribe has its own characteristic. Every tribe is different, but it has its own characteristic. There's popular people. There's allies. There's enemies. There's I'm better than everybody. There's the person who's the organizer of parties. Every group has certain characteristics. And the thing is, each tribe operates at a certain level. Some, demand excellence from each other. They constantly evolve and get better over time. Others just do the bare minimum, right? They want to get by. And I think the key difference here is also the tribal leader, the person who leads that group. And again, it cannot be forced. Leaders in a group naturally evolve. And a leader in a group is not the same as a manager. Manager is a position that's applied to somebody. Leaders are natural. They're appointed by the group, and that's something that needs to be earned, and it naturally emerges. And this tribal leader, he leads from the front. People want somebody to lead from the front. This tribal leader focuses on building the culture. That's really what makes him the leader. He focuses on building the culture. They're talent magnets. People actually want to work with them. There have been instances where people actually are willing to take a pay cut or give up their title to go be part of a group led by a really tremendous leader. The leader is known to work for the tribe, and because of this, he's rewarded with loyalty, innovation, hard work, and collaboration. So this is a key aspect of the team. So let's dig into the 5 stages, which I talked about. And this adds up to 100%, of course. Stage 1 teams, stage one teams, their language is life sucks for everybody. Nobody has it better. Life is just terrible. Luckily, only 2% of the teams or people are at that level because it's hard for you to get hired if you go in with that attitude, right? So if life sucks for you, we'll make sure it stays that way, or not. But you're just not going to be part of this team, so they don't get hired often. Stage two team says, my life sucks, right? You know what? Look at everybody around me. Look at that team. Look at my team. Why is it so terrible? Right? My life sucks. That's stage two team. And stage three team, is dominated by alpha personalities who have big egos, but they're actually pretty smart, right? There's domination being the key factor of this. And you know what? Most companies actually are formed with, or predominant teams here are stage three. These are the low performing teams. High performing teams are built on partnerships and the idea that we are great. We are great. Stage four teams, however, say they need an adversary. They need to say, we are great, but look at that team, they suck, right? So those are stage four teams. Stage five teams, they are so engrossed in doing well that they don't even see the competition, right? They don't even see it. We're not out to beat anybody. We're out to just be the best we can be. And that's a stage five team, and everybody wants to be part of that. And the common language of each team, if you look at it, stage one teams, life sucks for them. And they say, fuck this. I don't want to do this. That's a stage one team. We don't want to be around them. Stage two teams, they've seen it all. I've done that. I've tried this approach that you're talking about. It didn't work. I'd rather be fishing. And these guys walk around with coffee mugs which talk about, I'm living for the weekend, right? Or send out TGIF messages, which is cool. It's not a bad thing. But
which I assume is different than asking for wine tasting.
Wine tasting is we accomplished something, so thank God. Let's just celebrate. Stage three teams, this is a holier than thou attitude, right? I'm picking up everybody's slack. Because of me, this team is performing, but look at all these low performers around me. We need to do something about this. I'm not going to drop the ball just like everybody else around here has, right? We've seen that language, and what that does is it alienates people, right? Stage four teams, however, they have this belief that they are great. Only thing is, for them to win, they need to be better than the others. So we're great and they're not. And it's an us versus them attitude. But that's okay. If you need somebody to compete with, to be the best you can be, that's okay. Stage five teams, these are like Super Bowl winning teams or the Golden State Warriors. Not that I am a huge fan, but they're performing at a level where the competition doesn't matter. They're just, the synergy in the team is so great that they are going to be the best at whatever they're going to do. So how do we help groups move up to higher stages, right? Isn't that the key question? That's really, of course, the motive behind the book. And that's why we're here. And the key is we need to change the language of the tribe. When you change the language and the team dynamics, you've changed the tribe itself. So when the language changes from, I've done this all before, it doesn't work, to let's give it a shot, let's work together. It's not all on me, it's on us, and let's solve problems together. When you change that language, you've changed the tribe itself, and you're on your way to build stage 4 and 5 teams. But there's teams at all stages. We need to change stage 1 teams too, if we see them, right? And we talked about how stage 1 teams are driven by this language that their life sucks, or life sucks in general, right? They're not even seeing what's out there. So that's the first thing we need to do. We need to point out, hey, life is not so terrible. Look around you. Look at that person. But look at that team. Look at the way they're performing. There's opportunity out there for us to be better, for you to be better, and there is something you can do to get it, right? And another really critical thing here is you need to help them cut ties with people who are reinforcing this life sucks message. Sometimes it's a team thing, right? Yeah, if you don't say life is terrible here, you don't belong. So you need to start cutting those ties as well, and that's an important part of breaking through. So once you help them change that language, and believe me, my life sucks as opposed to just life sucks is progress, because now you know that there's actually a better alternate reality out there, and others have it better. And here's why. Reason 1, 2, 3. If you can get him there, then you've actually made progress for him to go from stage 2 to 3 and so on, and actually become a high performer. So to go from stage 2 to stage 3, however, they're feeling powerless. They're saying that everybody else has it better but us. And now that there's a taste of what's possible and that there's actually a better possibility out there, but I can't get it, that's a feeling of powerlessness which we want to help eradicate, right? So, how do we usually get better? Why are autobiographies so popular? Because we want to model people with success. People want to live vicariously through others, right? That's kind of what it is. So help these stage 2 individuals build relationships with high performers, right? If someone's struggling, help them share the energy of someone who's a top performer. Help them model their ways. Help them dig into why somebody else is successful. Assign them projects that can be done in a short time. This is such an important aspect. You need some wins under your belt, right? For you to feel that you have a possibility of doing better, you need some wins under your belt. If I give you something hard to do and you fail, it reinforces the message that, what, my life sucks. I can't do this. So you need to give them small wins and build up their confidence. And if you do that well enough, you get them bragging about their accomplishments, we've made tremendous progress. We have actually helped somebody successfully transition from a low performer into someone who can say, what, maybe I can actually do this, or maybe I'm ready for bigger things. So we need them succeed individually on small initiatives. And now that you start getting some small wins under your belt, you start talking about, talking shit about others, right? Look at that guy. Why can't he do this? Why can't he do what I did, right? Once you actually get them there that I'm actually better than somebody else, they've graduated from stage 2 to stage 3. Now you've built a successful performer. The next stage is to actually build a successful team, right? But before we build a successful team, what is the characteristic of a stage 3 team? That is important. Why are stage 3 teams like that? The key character is one of hoarding of information, right? It's too complicated for you. I'm not, you won't get it, right? Just assign that bug to me, right? But help somebody else do this? No, because then you lose your feeling of self-importance, right? There's a little bit of condescending attitude, and the feeling of, hey, I'm a lone warrior. How many people have been in code reviews or whatever where I'm not going to compromise my quality, and without me enforcing this, the code would be a mess, right? It's all because of me. I'm the savior here, and I'm setting the standards. That happens a lot in a stage 3 team, right? But and everyone's talking about my values and my principles, and more often than not, they walk into a room and say, everybody's so dumb. I went in and I said something, and I solved that problem right there, right? That is the feeling of I'm the smartest person in the room. That doesn't really help you build a stage 4 team. So how do we break through this? Breaking through this is so important, but you need to pick the right individuals to target first. If you're a leader of a stage 3 team, you need to identify your high performers, and these are the first people you need to target towards the conversion. You need to move the critical few to a stage 4 group. What that means is once you change the attitude of the high performers on your team and to help them understand that together more can be accomplished, that is when the team as a whole starts transitioning. You can transform everybody, but if the alpha male or alpha female of that group says, no, that won't work, then the dominant voice takes over and reinforces the stage 3 attitude. So they're the first people we need to go after. And how do you do that, right? But you start talking about being the best group instead of best in the group. I think that is a critical transition because a stage 3 team is made up of many talented individuals, but they're not gelling together. And the tribal leader is critical here in that breakthrough. The tribal leader, what he's going to do is he's going to start coaching them that real power comes from networks, from groups of people, not by hoarding knowledge. You know, that if you hold on to something, it's actually going to prevent you from being all you can be. And we need to help them model stage 4 individuals, right? Examples, again, become critical. If the organization lacks stage 4 teams, then you need to start being that role model for others. But it's really critical where one person who goes in as the savior, we need to start discouraging that attitude, but start modeling stage 4 behavior where let's solve problems as a team together. Commend them on their success. You know, hey, you're a top performer. You've solved this. I know your track record. You built this. You built that single-handedly. Tremendous work. But here's where we want to get to next. And maybe you can't do this alone. Maybe you need help. So tell them, as awesome as they are, the next level requires partnership, right? And that's good for everybody. So, and don't have them work on things alone. Give them something so big that they need to collaborate. So you see the difference though. From a stage 2 to stage 3 individual, we needed them to actually have individual wins. For someone to go from stage 3 to stage 4, they need to be assigned something so challenging, so big that they need to collaborate. They need to bring in others, they need to delegate, and they need to collectively solve. So that's an important differentiator. And how do you measure success? Measuring of success is, of course, results will improve. There's actually a proven research on the topic that a stage 4 team is at least 30% more productive than a stage 3 or stage 2 team. Complaints about not having enough time decreases. This is because, you know, you're not trying to do everything yourself. You know, you're actually collaborating, delegating, and there's a transparency which starts coming through. Lastly, to go from stage 4 to stage 5. I mean, this, you know, like we talked about, stage 5 teams are outperforming teams. They don't even see the competition. You know, we don't need a competitor to make Ellie Mae better. You know, we're the best already, and we're going to continue outperforming everybody. So what then our focus becomes us becoming as great as we can be. How do we get there? The first thing is to stabilize a stage 4 team, right? It's okay to have an adversary. It's okay to say, you know, we're going to be better than them. But it needs to be we, not me, right? So to come together as a group, that doesn't happen easily. It needs to happen through shared values. Why is, you know, every all hands, why does SIG go up there and talk about values? Because a group, for it to be cohesive, it needs to be based on shared values. You know, the group needs to believe that in a common set of things which will help them succeed. If there's no shared belief, if there's no shared common set of values, and also advantages, there needs to be a mutual benefit. Why are we all here, right? I mean, what's in it for me and what's in it for you? We need to agree that the advantages, you know, it's common for everybody, as well as the opportunity. And I mean, next gen at Ellie Mae, there is an opportunity, and that's been sold to us repeatedly, right? But that is an important aspect of of a topic to form a group around. Without that opportunity, what are we doing here, right? So that opportunity aspect is important. Then you need to encourage the team and tell them, okay, for example, the nCompass Web team, I would repeatedly talk about, hey, in 2 years when we do launch this nCompass Web, we want to go from 30% of the market to 60% of the market. So that is an opportunity for a unique small team to make a significant impact on the mortgage industry. That is a vision right there, right? Everybody wants to be part of that. Nobody wants to go fix the next great bug. That's irrelevant. That's not what I want to spend my time on. But if there is a vision associated, if there's a customer behind that who is waiting for that, the vision aspect really is important for the team to come together and make history. One of the things is teams scale, right? Teams need to scale. And in order to do this, there is a certain recruitment that needs to happen. Of course, we all interview, we all add people. People move from one team to another. But it's really important for us to preserve that team culture. A stage 4 team, one person who's a stage 3 or a stage 2 individual can really change the dynamic of that team. So it's critical to recruit others who share that group's vision. When problems come up between members of the team, or we take on challenges which are hard, it's really important for the tribal leader to not go in and just solve that problem. Here's what we're going to do. That doesn't work. What you need to do is to point team members to each other. Go solve it as a group. Because solving that problem together as a group reinforces that stage 4 team. That's a critical aspect of this, because we don't want lone warriors going in and solving everything for a white knight coming in to save the day, or whatever. We don't want that. We want the teams working together to solve something. So when that happens, and the success indicator when that the team has hit stage 5 is teams so focused on the mission that we forget about the competition. We're so focused on execution, on excellence, that we don't even know what else is going on outside of the team. By the way, one of the critical things is you need a constant oil check to this process. A stage 4 or a stage 5 team, they need to do a health check on, hey, what's working well? What doesn't work well? Without that, sometimes the problems just get pushed under the rug. So it's critical for teams to do that self-check on what needs to happen to continue performing well. So, like we talked about, our goal is to help build stage 4 and stage 5 teams. One thing to note, around 75% of the teams are stage 2 and stage 3, right? Low performing teams.
I have a tough question for you. When you say 75% of the teams, do you refer to general out there, or do you refer to element teams?
To answer that question, I love you all. But so over 24 organizations, around 20-something thousand individuals were interviewed in this book, and 75% of the teams are low-performing teams. But I see some tremendous teams here, and that is something I'm going to get to, and I'll talk about why these teams are high-performing. Right? So what happens at stage 4? Why is it so important? Stage 4 is important because the group is aligned around a set of core values and a vision. That vision and the set of values and what is important to all of us and what are we going to get out of this, that is important. Right? When everyone's aligned on that, then that's how you have a stage 4 team. So to answer your question, Lehman.
Okay.
So this is the nCompass Web team. Okay. This is a little cube, and there's 5 people crammed in there, trying to merge all their stuff together for the demo to happen later in the afternoon. Right? Why? And so to me, that is a high-performing team. Why, and I would like to talk about why this is such a high-performing team. How did we get here? So, I inherited this team, and and it's been a tremendous journey. And I would like to talk about what I saw over, in the last few months that I was here leading this team. Um, so the first thing, we did was to set expectation that the only way to win was to work well with each other. No other way. I don't need individuals coming in to save the day. We're either going to win as a team or lose as individuals. I think I forgot what movie that is from, but Any Given Sunday. Anyway, how do you reinforce this, though? How do you know that working together as a team allows you to win? That, so celebrating little wins, like I talked about, is important. So the team would come together, they would build something, they would put it in front of groups, and they would see that the positive response to that. And the demos are critical for this. So the team would come together, work as a group, put something out there, and see the positive response. And this reinforces the idea that, hey, as a team together, we work on something, put it out there, and there's recognition, there's visibility, and there's results. And that's where the happy hours come. There's a reward. It's important. What that means is it constantly reinforces that as a team together we will win. As individuals, there's no avenue for me to be visible, to succeed, to help the customer. So once that happens, they believe that success was possible, and the only way to succeed is together. And once we're convinced of this, once we are ready to work together cohesively, nonstop, in a cadence, possibilities are endless. So, I'm seeing this with the TPO team. I'm seeing this with the Encompass Web team, and it's incredible. The photo is just one example. I've seen, everybody's seen this repeatedly. These guys, I've never had to ask them to work as hard as they do, but they do it because they love it. And I think that to me is a stage 4 and stage 5 team. So how do you know, though, stage 4 is achieved? I think that is, example of the Encompass Web team or TPO team is one, but how do you know? What are the metrics? The change in language, like I talked about, that is critical to build high-performing teams. I gets replaced by we. As us, as a team, that is critically important. And people start building networks. You're not just talking to the 1 or 2 friends that you have, and you avoid everybody, you just run to people who walk next to you. You actually start building networks, have conversations, you get to know them personally. That's critical. The morale of the team greatly improves. You're going to work with each other 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. But if you enjoy working with that person, I think that's fun. People want to actually come in. Complaints about not having enough time. I'm completely burdened by all these things in front of me. And look how incompetent everybody else is. I have to do everything around here. That kind of language starts decreasing because you're actually believing that I'm not going to save everything. It's actually a group of people who are coming together, as well as information sharing. When somebody has a question, the team jumps in to help them. I think that's a critical sign that there's sharing of knowledge, as well as everybody's invested in everybody's success. I think that is a critical factor. Like I talked about, results will increase about 30%. That is what we discovered, or the book discovered, from all that research. To summarize, the main question is whether we choose to stay as stage 2 or 3 teams, or we work towards advancing to stage 4 or 5 teams. And that is probably the most important challenge or question to organizations around the world. Everything Ellie Mae HR is doing with the Connect program, having great conversations with each other. All of that is because the expectation or the hope is that we come together as a group and build stage 4 or 5 teams. What's in front of us is a long next-gen road, right? I would like to think it's a beautiful road. I mean, this to me is beautiful. Do you want to travel alone, or do you want to go as a group? Do you want to go as a group and to success towards a beautiful set of products? And do you want to go with the people you're with? Or if they're not, what are you doing to transform them into people you want to be with? So that is a critical question. Now the interesting thing is, after all I say, everybody's probably wondering, okay, is there some way for me to find out what level my team is at? Or where am I? So it turns out there is. There's a survey that you can go take to find out, okay, where your group is and what stage team you are. There's also plenty of other material, tutorials, etc., exercises for teams to work on together, to kind of come together and work on whatever they're working on. So anyway, I guess my talk went faster than I expected, but thank you. Anybody have questions, comments? Tribal leadership. The title of the talk is actually the title. Yes. The toolbox that I talked about has a lot. It's the language of the individual. So there's a lot of phrases which the book talks about, which you can use to identify or weed out individuals. And personally, with my hiring, I do that a lot. Not everybody does everything single-handedly. So if I see a lot of self-pats on the back, and that's actually not true. You either work on a small startup where you did everything, or you're not giving your team enough credit. So, but the book does talk about what language identifies each stage.
So you have a stage 5 team, right? I guess it's
of course we do.
I guess it's a huge thing to maintain that team at that level. You have to keep them growing, and what are the things that you do for that? Or even a stage 4 team to get to stage 5 should have success further, right? So how do you do that?
So the stage 5 team, is so focused on what's in front of them, they forget thinking about others. And by the way, stage 5 teams, only 2% of the teams are stage 5 teams. I agree with you, that is the stage 5 team, but they're unstable because they're formed of leaders. Stage 5 teams are groups of leaders who have come together for a noble cause. So they will stay together for a while, accomplish something significant, and then split off and form other stage 4 teams. So that was kind of my vision with the Encompass Web team, because we had to scale, and which is kind of what we did. So it's hard to keep a stage 5 team together if they're not inspired. So the way to keep a beautiful stage 5 team together is to continue inspiring them, challenging them with great problems.
How to collaborate between stage 5 team and stage 1 team within single thread?
Correct. That is one of the greatest challenges, right? When you're a stage 5 team and you're trying to collaborate with a stage 1 team which is completely shut down, there needs to be someone who's going to reach out and say, hey, let's have a heart-to-heart conversation about why life sucks for you, and it's not, right? And the only way I've seen is to sell somebody a vision. If someone doesn't want to believe that there's something better out there and wants to stay stuck in something, then you have two choices. You've already tried and they don't want to work with you. You have to go somewhere else. or somebody needs to step in, because stage one teams are hiring mistakes. Stage one individuals are hiring mistakes. They should not be part of an organization, right? So either change their language real quick or cut your losses.
So what do you do if you have a team with people have multiple stages?
That's where it's so important for the tribal leader to have different stage conversations with each person, right? So, for example, if there's a stage two individual who feels like, you know what, I'm not able to accomplish much, my life sucks, I need to help that person get to stage three, so I'm going to give him an easy win. He needs to start building up these wins so that he starts feeling accomplished. At the same time, if there's a stage three individual who says, everybody else is terrible, I'm awesome, then you need to put challenges in his path that he can't solve alone. He needs to collaborate with others. And when that works out, you need to point out that his win was not all his, right? So when those are the teams that can be saved, actually. If teams have a single energy, it becomes pretty difficult to break. But if there's people at different stages, then the leader has a chance.
So how much impact is from the team leader?
I think the team leader is the most critical part. And of course, the team leader is appointed sometimes from within the group. The respect of the group, that is critical. And when the team is convinced that the team leader is working on their best interest, he gets rewarded with their loyalty and hard work and so on. Otherwise, it's a positional authority, which is very difficult to get obedience or buy-in from the group.
Right? So that it's easy to identify stage 1 and 2 teams, say within element, then say, hey, no, these two teams really need a lot of help. We take the leader out, do some meeting.
That works. After this talk, we will talk about services for such meetings.
That's your practical suggestion?
No, I'm just brainstorming. Yeah.
Okay. That's one idea.
Yeah, because I think if they are stage 1 or 2 teams, my concern is that the people coming here trying to learn tribal leadership probably are the much better performing team. There are teams that don't even perform. They probably don't even come to hear this one. So they find a good way to educate them and pass good example to them, and that will help because maybe they just don't know.
Right. There's ways to transition from every stage to the higher stage, and the leader needs to facilitate that. Yeah. So good leaders for groups become critical. And go ahead.
So without having everybody go out and read the book just in this moment, are there 2 or 3 things that anyone in this room listening now would walk away from this session and do a little differently to help themselves climb either personally one level higher or with their team one level higher?
Sure. So the question is, what can we do right now? So if you're a leader, if you're a leader of a group, the key thing for you to do is you need to have a pulse of your group. You need to kind of know the different individuals and understand what stages of development they're in, and challenge them with the right kind of problems. Right? Stage 2 individuals, they lack confidence, they feel powerless. Give them some easy wins. Stage 3 individuals, challenge them to collaborate, force them to collaborate. If you're an individual within a group, I would really encourage you to go take a honest look at what stage you feel you're in, introspect, identify your language. What is your language like? Are you all about me, or me versus them, or us versus them, or are you just feeling hopeless, feeling like, I can't fix this situation? Then figure out, okay, what are some easy wins you can do? Have a conversation with your group leader saying, I want to do better. I need some visibility. I need some wins. It's for every one of us, we have the choice to be better and to choose better. So My one takeaway for everybody is either know yourself and figure out what is the next best thing you can do right now to get to the next level. And as a leader, identify what you can do for your group to help them get to the next level. And if you're a stage 4 team, then do constant analysis on keeping it there. Right? Stage 5 teams don't usually fight because they are high-performing teams which don't have the time, right? The moment it becomes an us versus them, it's a stage 4 team, right? And again, when was any conflict resolved without actually two people sitting down and actually figuring out what is the mutual win here? You know, both of us want something. How do we find common ground? You know, that's the most important thing. If I don't know what your real reason is to have a conflict with me, how can I ever find common ground with you? I think that is important. So ability to have that intelligent discussion, putting aside ego and agenda, I think that helps a lot.
Because it was already required to create a stage 5 team in the first place, and so therefore those people are already difficult.
To get to a stage 5 team, you've already realized it's more than just me. You've realized I cannot win without others. And for now, this is my team, but I also need, I mean, these teams exist within the broader organization, and for us to win, we need to collaborate. So you've gone past the self-importance aspect.
Rewarding and recognizing best performers, do you think that there is
Absolutely. I think if you're a stage 3 individual, and I can't beat you down and say you're an awesome person, but you know what? I'm going to make sure you don't get any visibility. That'll actually, make you shut down. You need to recognize, but then also say, here's what actually facilitated that win, and here's where, and facilitating or congratulating a good team win is important, right? Also recognize with this win, recognize all the cursory contributions so that everybody feels included. If you single out one person and say, great job, and leave it there, everybody else feels like, you know what, maybe, I had something to do with that. So call that out. Right? So, any other questions? Chris?
When you completed reading this book, what stage was your team at, and how did you break it?
It was a stage 3 team. There were some tremendous performers, but it was not a cohesive group. But it didn't take much to push them over the edge. The moment they realized by working together, results came very quickly. It was, momentum from there on. I think that I was fortunate enough.
as per you, like jumping from this stage to other stage is more challenging than
I think stage 3 to stage 4 is the most challenging just because people's egos and need for self-importance disallows that collaboration that actually the stage 4 team needs, which is exactly why congratulating individual wins, while it's important, it downplays also the team aspect. So I think sprint demos are, for example, are a great way to make a team feel like one unit. Right? You need to reinforce constantly that you succeed together as a team or you don't succeed. That has been the way, but I found that people's need to kind of hog attention, that causes a lot of problems. Any set of people coming together to solve a problem are going to need these angles. It's not about software. It's all about people.
Are there any external factors that can facilitate teams
there's many things like that, you know. So I was reading something yesterday about how the Golden State Warriors, their secret is that they all have dinner together after a game. You know, many things, but little things where the team comes together outside of a work situation and just de-stresses and shares personal information, that goes a long way. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
These are fun. I like when we get
How do I solve this?
So you should text us.
Yes.
It was really great.
Thank
Super
you.
great.